So I'm calling the meeting to order for Policy Committee for National Board of Education. It is Wednesday, October 28th, 2020 at 6 p.m. We are meeting via Zoom teleconference in accordance to social distancing in New Hampshire. Oh, the school's calling me. Hold on. Mr. Guarino, can you call the roll?
Okay, Ms. Bishop,
I'm here.
Ms. Ziem,
I'm here and I'm alone.
and Mr. Guarino is here and he is alone in the room also. Also with us, we have Mr. Parker and we have Ms. Bernardo.
Yes. So we have two proposed policies to take a look at tonight on the agenda. I thought we could review the first one, which is proposed policy EBCG, the emergency policy on personal protective measures, face masks, and cloth face coverings. Did you guys have any questions about it? Mr. Parker, did you want to fill us in a little bit on what this is?
Well, it's things that we basically have been doing, but we just memorialized it. But there was also talk that we were going to propose and then ask that it not be moved forward because we tend to do this anyway, because it's state law. It's a district mandate in the town of Nashua, the city of Nashua. So this is actually the first one is sort of a moot point. And Jen and I, Ms. Bishop and I talked about that a few days ago, that we would be doing this. And so we've been doing this. This is something that the town does, that the state has mandated as well. And so it seems unnecessarily redundant to have a specific school, a discrete school policy for something that's already in effect and that we are required to do as well. So
you want me to make a motion to rescind, or was it ever?
We were just reviewing it.
Okay.
It had presented itself, I think, in a prior meeting.
it did.
Yes.
It did.
And I think we just want to formally put it to bed. I think we would need to revisit this if we, if Nashua changed from state law, that kind of stuff. But right now, everything's matching up together. So like what Mr. Parker said, it is a bit redundant.
And we can always keep it in our back pocket if we need it.
Right.
If circumstances change. So.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want a motion to put it to bed?
I think because it's not on the books now, we don't have to do anything. We just wanted to make sure that we had reviewed it. We're in agreement with it. There's nothing really earth shattering. So we know it's here if we need it.
Thank you.
And then the second policy that we had reviewed was proposed policy JLDBB in regards to suicide prevention and response. This was something I'm sure you guys don't remember, maybe you do remember, but in one of our big board meetings, Mrs. Brown was stating that there was an opportunity to get a grant for a curriculum piece, but we needed to have an updated policy or have the policy updated. So Mr. Parker pulled out the policy from the School Boards Association. He put it together. Do you want to speak to that one too, Mr. Parker?
Well, I actually don't have that in front of me. I just have what I wrote. But yes, it was. It's pretty straightforward. Suicide policy. You don't want to convolute it. You want it very straightforward, easy to read, one-stop shopping. This is what we do if we think somebody's in distress, and what roles that we all play. There is. One of the things we'll have to work on is a cohesive, unified, or holistic, if you will, plan that wraps into place what individual schools are doing. Right now, the point people for suicide prevention are guidance counselors. Okay, I think that's appropriate. Okay, but you know, a position, whether it's suicide prevention coordinator, or we assigned it to one of the assistant superintendents or to the director of student services, to make sure that every year we are offering this training in a cohesive way, not simply building by building, which is in fact taking place. Okay, but something that where the central office can verify that we've done this training.
Mhm.
Okay, and people sign in so we know who's taken it and who has not, and that we share it with the relevant other local agencies like police, fire, et cetera, so that they're on the same page. All right, and they know what we're doing if we ever have to deal.
Mhm.
So you bring so that you're going to bring somebody in to do the training, one of these people that were provided by the state?
Yes, I'm part of an superintendent's group with Garth, and I have some leads on a person, and don't ask me their name right now, who is doing some suicide training for some neighboring districts. And so I would like to, it won't be this month, it'll probably be later in the year because she's booked, but they were really high on that training. And so I'm going to reach out to that group to schedule a training at the earliest possible time that we can.
We have had in some of the emails and some of the conversations that we have had with the pandemic, we have had parents actually state that their children were suicidal.
Yep.
And with the pandemic, I think that mental health is a bigger issue than normal. So so that I think it becomes critically important. We're such a large district that we're going to have more children who need this. We're going, and we have so much poverty, and I don't think poverty helps it. If you're poor and you're not getting the food you need, and then you get isolated and depressed to boot, you know, it's I think the need is great in Nashua. I really do.
The need is great, and the thing that I've learned in the last 25 years, unfortunately, we've had to deal with this issue in the previous districts, either as a current student or somebody, or a graduate, you know, including last year, unfortunately, a young man took his life who I actually taught.
Must have broke your heart.
It did. And I think suicide prevention policy is very important, simply because I think one of the things that is easy to lose sight of, that school is not merely an intellectual or academic exercise. And people bring their only selves with them to school and the problems that their life. Right? And so, and there is no one demographic.
Mhm.
I always say you grow under the tree where you're planted, and unfortunately, if that tree is a broken home or alcoholic parents or whatever the problems be, they come right to school with them, and you hear it from the teachers so often. It's heartbreaking, and I can't imagine how you felt losing a student. You ask yourself.
It's never easy, but as I'm looking through this, you know, the one thing that I do not have on here that I actually, it could be a separate document, or maybe we just put the process in place. But when we think of suicide prevention, all right, we think of the students that, you know, we have direct control over. But the impact of a sibling or a parent, you know,
Yes.
you know, who might commit suicide. And I'm literally just thinking about that now. You know,
Right,
so,
right.
you know, if somebody who is close to you, okay, that's going to just throw your life off because they've taken their own life. And
I think we had a first grade child that went home and found their mother dead on the floor in the bathroom, I think is one of the stories I heard. So I don't know if that would be considered suicide, but to me it is suicide, whether intentional or unintentional, you know, so it's,
But we have a response. I mean, if a child experienced that, we will deal with it. Okay, but having something codified might, you know, just another paragraph, you know, and literally as I'm looking at this now, you know, this is student specific. but there are ripple effects if there's a family member that
Yes.
maybe we should acknowledge. And I think that's just a few sentences, no more than a paragraph, that we can add to this.
Okay.
Well, I know the youth council was going in, and I think Harbor Care was as well, or maybe jointly. I just know about this from peripheral stuff, but I mean, obviously the opioid epidemic has been having a huge impact on our community, and they were going in and working with students who were experiencing that at home as well. I think there was a whole separate, not necessarily mandate, but opportunity to provide supports to those students by allowing those outside community members to come in and support the students that Sandra was just kind of talking about. But obviously, if a student is acutely suicidal, you want to bring them to the hospital.
Yes. And those are relationships, just codifying those relationships on paper,
Right.
letting folks know that we have relationships with hospitals,
Mhm.
with social service agencies and things like that.
How would it physically take place, Mr. Parker? Once a year, you would invite all of the teachers to come to this training, and my understanding is that they come by will. So
Yes, but we can make it a requirement. Suicide prevention training, in most districts, certainly here in Massachusetts, is mandatory. And some folks are uncomfortable with it because who wants, you come to school to teach. You don't want to have to deal with that, but welcome to school. All right. If you want to see aspects of real life, go to a school, and you'll see exactly what's going on in society. You'll see exactly what's coming down the pipe. Go to a public school. And so, but yes, just like we did this year, where we had 6 days of professional development at the beginning of the year, there was district training, and then there was building-based training. We would do the same with suicide prevention training.
could we still get that this year?
Yes, I can make that happen.
I just think that this year of all years, I just think with the pandemic, there's more depression.
Yes, and that's why I gave ourselves some wiggle room. I said by May 2022, I think. But yes, we can. I just wanted to give ourselves the flexibility because the schedule's crowded and more things now that we're back.
That's overwhelming.
So I just wanted to give us some wiggle room so that we could have some space to plan it and do the PR, let folks know we're doing it. But yes, we can do it this year.
Thank you.
Yes.
So do we want to vote on this? Yes, Mr. Guarino? Sorry.
Yeah, I think this is great. And I think we should vote on it and pass it and send it to the full board. And what Mr. Parker can do is work on his addendum to it. We can bring it back and add that addendum to it when he has it ready. But I think we should, it is definitely we need this. We needed it before the pandemic. And as Ms. Ziem said, now we need it more than ever. In the past 10 years, and I've seen in our community 2 suicides, students and people, families that I knew, and it is pretty devastating, and it's long overdue. And I thank you, Mr. Parker, for this. I read it through twice, and I'm ready to pass it. And
I just want to give a shout out to Miss Bernardo and her work in helping me with this. So, Miss Bernardo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So-
We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to move that we approve policy JLDBB and send to the full board for their approval.
I second.
You want me to take the roll?
Yeah, if you want to.
On the
If
motion,
that's, Mr. Guarino, if that's not the normal way that we do things, if that's just how I started doing it and we kept doing it, we don't have to do it that way.
right?
But we can talk about that offline, but
Okay. Ms. Bishop,
yes.
Ms. Ziem,
Absolutely.
Mr. Guarino votes yes. The motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Do we have any other, those were the two things on the agenda, but do we want to discuss anything else or bring anything else to the table?
I just want to say, I don't have anything more to bring. I just want to say after the next meeting, though, I'm working on several policies, so we'll have 2 or 3. We need a homeschool policy, communicable and infectious diseases policy. So I'll be working on those 2. And there might be one other that's escaping me right now. So there will be at least 2 policies for your consideration for the next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
And if that changes, I'll let Ms. Bishop know. So
yes. And are we, I know that we, I can connect with Tara or Gabby about this, but because this meeting was pushed out, does that mean our next meeting is going to be, because they're typically, what, the first or second Tuesday, Wednesday? Do we want to push it out to December? So as we don't, so not to have a policy meeting in 2 weeks after this?
Well, we should have one in November, right?
Right, but I don't remember when that was. I don't have my calendar in front of
The
me.
end of November would be the Thanksgiving week, wouldn't it?
Right.
So I don't think you want to do that. Or do you? If you do, it's all right with me. I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately, so.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. I'll be right here.
I'm trying. Oh, here's the calendar. Hold on. So.
November 18th, Ms.
18th.
Bernardo was saying.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, that was wonderful. Very timely.
Does that give you enough time to review these, Mr. Parker, and then for us to chat?
Yep,
Okay.
I think
Then
so.
we'll meet back up on the 18th then.
Do I get the privilege of making the motion to adjourn? Or is
Seconded.
it?
Okay, Mr. McLean, I've just got your email. He says, "Hi, Anthony, please tilt your camera down. You look like Kilroy cartoon from World War II." So, unfortunately, I didn't see it until the end of the meeting, so sorry.
Handsome.
Too late.
Too late.
All right, so vote to adjourn the meeting?
Okay, I'll take the roll. Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
Ms. Ziem,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino votes yes. Motion carries 3-0 at 6:24 PM.
See you next week.
Excellent. Bye, guys.
Have a great night.
Bye. Thank you, Mr. Parker, and thank you, Gabrielle.